the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, is here, and she's saying this. Deep state criminals, and she puts them on notice, referring to 2 alleged leakers of classified info of the DOJ for prosecution. So 2 and more are coming. 3rd referral is on the way. Here to explain is the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Director, great to see you in person.
Good to see you, Brian.
So I read about this. You indicated to me this was happening. 2 people have been found to be leaking, a 3rd on its way. Can you give me the nature of the leaks and how you discovered it?
Let's just first of all point out what we know has been the problem for a very long time. One of the reasons why the American people voted resoundingly for President Trump was to root out the kind of politicization and weaponization of intelligence that has really undermined the trust the American people have in the intelligence community and the national security state, but really what also directly undermines our own national security. So I made it very clear to the U.S. Senate, to the American people when I had the honor of being appointed to this position, that we will not allow this to continue. We take this very seriously. It is illegal to leak classified information. And so what you're seeing here is me carrying out on the promise and the mandate the American people gave Trump. We conducted our own internal investigation. We have referred them now to the Department of Justice and the FBI for an official criminal investigation because these are crimes and people need to be held accountable to put a stop to this.
When you were Congresswoman, we talked about this. There's people within the department not selling secrets to Russia or China.
Well, we're keeping an eye out for that, too.
Absolutely,
but, yes.
but undermining the policy of the administration, the first administration, working against you at the CIA, working against you. Now you're finding this out. So you found people who seem motivated to undermine the president.
Yeah, when we look at the examples that I've seen just in the short time that I've been in this position, what they consist of is essentially very selective leaks to their friends in the propaganda media that twist and manipulate intelligence directly to undermine the president's policies and his aggressive work to keep the American people safe.
So does that 3rd person know that you're zeroing in on them?
I don't know if they know, but these are the first 3 investigations. We are referring to the Department of Justice. There are more that we are continuing to, investigations we're continuing
internally. Can you give me the nature of what they did, and will we know their names?
I can't get into detail now because of the criminal investigations that the FBI will be conducting, but in each one of these examples, I can tell you we know that the intent, based on the result that we've seen through their leaks to the Washington Post and the New York Times and other outlets, Huffington Post and others, has been directly to undermine President Trump and the work that he's doing.
In cooperation with the director of the CIA and the FBI, since you're overseeing all of it? So it could be any in those bureaus beneath you?
Yes.
Okay. We just had the Secretary of Defense on, and he also is dealing with leak issues, 3 of which have been fired, maybe a 4 queued up. As Director of National Intelligence, do you have a role in that investigation?
I don't. The Department of Defense is conducting their own investigation. I've not been involved with or connected to that. What we are looking at is specifically within the intelligence community. So that means the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, but also with purview over the 18 different intelligence elements that I have oversight over.
Can you give me what you were told about you need to be able to communicate in real time, rapidly, with people at your level in a secure location? Yeah. Thanks to the Chinese infiltrating just about everything under the Biden administration, everyone was told to use the Signal app. What is the protocol for the administration about using the Signal app?
It's very simple, obviously. We have official, secure means of communication, whether it's email or phone. That is the preferred method of communication. If, for example, someone is traveling, they're on the road.
Which happens all the time.
Which obviously we're not all locked to our desks, which is a good thing. Limited use of an end-to-end encrypted app like Signal is not only authorized under this administration, it was used prolifically under the Biden administration as well, recognizing that that's the most secure form of communication, but not using it to communicate classified information, of course.
Was Jake Sullivan and former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, were they communicating that way?
I have been told by people who have firsthand experience they communicated prolifically and in great detail using the Signal app.
So,
which is interesting because the Democrats on the committee and people who've been talking about this have never questioned or acknowledged that fact, even though we know that they know.
Yeah, it's important for people to point out that there's very few options because the Chinese have penetrated into almost every.
It's just practical.
Every major
we have to be
communications
able
device.
to communicate, and that is the most secure way to communicate.
Right.
Obviously, carefully, limited, but we have to have options.
So just so you know, there's a big story out today that the Secretary of Defense was using the Signal app on his desktop. And his spokesperson, Sean Parnell, said this: the Secretary's use of communication systems and channels is classified. However, we can confirm that the Secretary has never used or does not currently use Signal on his government computer. When you get briefed, like I get briefed when I started here, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. What do they tell you? I mean, these are stories that really come from protocol, isn't it?
Well, first of all, the Signal app has been uploaded on government phones specifically to be able to use in those exigent circumstances where it is needed to be able to communicate. The point is being very careful in how you're using any means of communication if it is not a secure government classified system.
You're not new to Congress. You're not new to Washington.
No.
But you're in a position you couldn't possibly be known everything you were getting into. What's been the biggest surprise since you took over? What's one of the biggest adjustments since you've taken over?
There's a long list, but really the levels of very serious, deep reform that is essential. Number one, to restore trust on behalf of the American people in these institutions to keep the American people safe. And being able to make sure that across the board we are focusing on that foremost mission. There obviously the DEI stuff that has been a huge distraction. I've had employees come and talk to me and say they were expected to spend half of their day within the intelligence community focused on DEI work. So if you can imagine when we have intelligence professionals and analysts whose mission it is to make sure that the president has relevant, timely, apolitical, objective intelligence to make his decisions by. But in the last administration, they're told, you got to spend half your day on DEI work. We can understand why the capabilities in some cases were so degraded.
Well, you have, without DEI, you got free time to do what everyone's supposed to be doing. Great to see you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks so much
Good
for
to see
coming
you.
in.
Would you betray America? Do you believe in the deep state? What should be the punishment for traitors? Like and comment below. Follow us on X @Pulse Media. GRP.